We're looking at Bleacher Reports top 99 defenders ever. We are going to be throwing through this. Yes, I'm going to be doing the shooters. That's going to be a later video. It might actually be uploaded at the same time. I have no idea what I'm going to do. But yeah, we're going to be going through that. I'm going to be honest. The first time I tried to record this, I was really looking over and being like, oh, looking at the resume and stuff like that. I am not going to be talking about the top 10 player of the year race, like defensive player of the year race, unless I know the race that it was or like vividly recall the season. Frankly, I will be covering names that my audience is an audience that is very casual will be likely to kind of know, or like somebody will be in depth. I'm not going to be covering every single name on the list because I do not know all of these names. Am I the most qualified to do this? No. But I'm not going to lie, we're going to get to like more notable names and I'll be able to speak on those anyway. So, yeah. All right. Don Booze or Booze. No further comments. Larry Nance. Shout out Larry Nance. He is a Cleveland legend, has his jersey retired. Eddie Jones. Before this list, I would never have told you that Eddie Jones was a great defender. But I do know who Eddie Jones is. Nasty man. Moving on. Elvin Hayes. I'm familiar with Elvin Hayes. Or decently familiar with Elvin Hayes. Ben Simmons is on the list. So I'm going to be honest with you. They very clearly view, and the All-NBA first teams, the defensive first teams and stuff like that, I'm going to be honest, because these are regular season awards, right? These are not going to tell the full story of how good a defender is on this list, straight up. It is also I will say this, it does get easier to play defense in the postseason if you're not a high leverage offensive star. That being said, we'll get to it. We'll be here. DeAndre Jordan is notably above Ben Simmons. I think that is correct. I think that DeAndre Jordan is a little low, but I have to see the names above him. Don Chanley, do not know who that is. Don't want to pretend. Embiid is around here. Embiid notably has 4 Defensive Player of the Year races that he's been finished in, top 10 in. He's never really been in the conversation to win the awards though, so I don't really think this is valid. Willis Reed, yeah, moving on. And some of these guys played in eras where blocks and steals just frankly were not recorded. Was that Derek White is here? Derek White over Embiid is questionable. Over Ben Simmons is not. Wes Unseld, again, Baltimore. He's a Baltimore legend. Baltimore Bullet, shout out him. I don't know Wes Unseld. You might know him as Fat Ali if you were if you were in any shape and way form at 2K or Jordan, but lover, video watcher. Theo Ratliff, familiar with the name. Do I know his career very well? No. OG Anunoby. OG being on this list is very interesting because obviously OJ started off as a very defensive-oriented player that worked his way into becoming an offensive player. Notably a 2-time champion. They do not really care about championships on this list. Fair enough. We'll get to a name that's above him that I've already seen, and I'm just yeah, not really sure about that. Paul Presley, do not want to speak on this. Chet Holmgren. Okay, now look. Chet finished second in Defensive Player of the Year race right this year. However, he finished second to Wemby, and it was a unanimous Defensive Player of the Year award, which is literally A, I don't think it's happened before, and then B, more importantly, he did not receive a single first place vote. And also, Chet, I will give Chet this credit. His defense was one of the reasons he was playable in the postseason. And this list has nothing to do with his offense. That being said, is Chet really the best defender on this team? Or is Chet is probably the best defender on this good defensive team. Is Chet the sole reason that this defense is good, like a lot of the other players they're going to be? Or even like a massive part of why this defense is so good as it is? Probably not. I think that Lou Dort is more impactful to him as a defender than him. I think that Casey Wall is a more impactful defender than him. Is that crazy to say? Probably. Will the numbers back me up? I don't know. But we're going to be moving on. Paul Silas. He also became a coach notably later in his career, but Paul is not a player that I'm very familiar with. They did not have Defensive Player of the Year in his Andrew Bogut. Now listen. Bogut was a good defender on some good Warriors teams, and they were notably a very, very pivotal defense. Bogut was not the sole reason that they were the sole, or even the main reason that they were a good defense. Having him above DeAndre Jordan is certainly it's questionable. We're just gonna move on from that. It's certainly questionable in my opinion. Dave Cowens, 70 center, played for Milwaukee and Boston. Most notably, played for Milwaukee and Boston. I can see this. He's never finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year award, so I don't know why he's above a lot of these other guys. But again, that it really depends. And also, I think really anyway, Bill Embiid, defense, bad boy Pistons anchor. Now, we can talk about how knocking niggas out of the air and fouling the shit out of them is not defense. But everyone likes to pretend like it is, and so if he's going to be on the list, I guess, sure, whatever. Notably, he could play defense without all of the fucking thing, but like he definitely was fouling the shit out of people. So Nate McMillan, yeah, this makes sense. Not only is he a defensive oriented coach at this point in time in his career, but yeah, Nate was a very good defender. Notably as a guard, mind you, notably finished top 3, not top 3. He's finished top 10 3 times in Defensive Player of the Year. Very interesting. Evan Mobley. Look, I know Evan Mobley has won a Defensive Player of the Year. I know he's also on my team. Respectfully, he would not have that hardware. He would not have that hardware if Rudy Gobert was in the race really that year, and also more importantly, if Wemby had played games. So, yeah. No offense to him. He's a great defender, hell of a defender, but I don't know if you can put him this high, this early into his career, really, because he's been playing since 2021. That's only a 5-year sample size, and there's a Defensive Player of the Year in that 5-year sample size, but like regular season award, most credible. And above Embiid, I don't know. I would like to say that Embiid anchors his defense probably a little bit more than this guy. Injury concerns, yes, but and to have him above Derek White, questionable, very questionable. Moving on. Artis Gilmore, that makes sense. Doesn't have a Defensive Player of the Year, but he's finished All NBA defensive first, and he's also like, what is he, a center? I think he's a center too. It's gonna be tougher to do. Brook Lopez. Okay, I can respect this. Brook Lopez has never won a Defensive Player in this year, but I can actually respect this. This is the defense that he was playing, especially in the drop. And I know Brook got fried in drop a lot, but they were also really great defenses. And there's no, because of his ability to play drop and have Giannis as a help defender. I do want to talk about that. He was a very good defender. He's also been a good defender even before he was in Milwaukee, but that's notably where I know him to be at his best as a defender. Because the Brooklyn teams just were not very good. He was a good defender on all these teams. New Jersey Nets, Brooklyn Nets, Los Angeles Lakers, and then obviously all the way into Milwaukee in that era was where he's most notable for. But yeah, that's fair. Alex Caruso. See, I didn't even mention Caruso, but like it was just implicitly implied that he was a better defender than Chet to me. And the reason he does not find himself in these situations to even be in Defensive Player of the Year is because he's not getting as many minutes. Great defender in Chicago, great defender in OKC, great defender in LA. Like, just moving on. Doug Christie, who's also a coach, Sacramento Kings coach currently right now. He is played for a lot of teams. He's played for LA, both LA teams. He's played for Dallas, obviously Sacramento. Toronto, New York, and Orlando. He's finished top 10 in the Defensive Player of the Year twice. Doug is notably not that big. He's a shooting guard. So again, I don't know how you can put him above the likes of the guys below him. But it's certainly something. He also notably played in the dead ball era, so I would like to dock some points about him being this world great defender. There was offensive limitations of that era. Yeah. Rasheed Wallace. Okay, this is a respectable name. I'm not really much more to say about this. This makes sense. Portland, Atlanta, obviously champion in Detroit. Boston, New York, and Washington. He's played for all of those teams. Never finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year. Never defensive than that. He did notably play on the Jailblazers, and he's also played in the Detroit Pistons. They're one of the greatest defenses of all time. They do not win a championship without him. I do not know to what degree you can say he was that, but also him not finishing top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year during the era where a lot of the biggest and most baddest bigs are finishing, that makes a lot of sense, especially considering his position, which is going to be more important than Doug Christie's shooting guard position. So he does not quite get that tax nearly as badly. Paul George. Young Paul George? Sure, great defender. Don't want to get it twisted. But if we're talking like later in OKC, good defender. Don't get it twisted. Would I say great? Not at that point. The more he focused on the offensive career and the more offensively they asked for him, the less and less his defense really came. And we saw that in Los Angeles, which notably is why they were having problems with Lucas Mavericks consistently. They did not want to put him on there. I was about to say Shaq's probably around here shortly, and there he is. Shaq has notably never won a Defensive Player of the Year, but again, early 2000s, very hard to win one right there. There's also another defender. There's also a top 10 defender, in my opinion, that has never won it, and I would say one of the greatest defenders of all time that has never won it. Notably, two, but yeah, that's something. Would I say that he's a little low? Probably. I'd probably say he's a bit low. Because Shaq was a very good rim protector. And it was also why he was like suited in or suited after even when he was really really old, like old as shit. Like the Celtics Shaq, they needed a center desperately, but Shaq's defense as that center for Boston was very impactful for them. They really needed him. Larry Bird. No. No. Next, Buck Williams. Position these players. I don't know who this is, but so I don't really want to speak on this. I don't think he should be above Shaq, but I don't know who he is. Jerry West. The logo, I've never heard anyone talk about the Logos defense. Straight up fact. For the defensive player and the defensive teams that he's on, gotta be because of the steals. Gotta be because of his ability to read the passing lanes and stuff like that. Because I've never heard anyone in their life say he was locking shit up. I'm assuming it's the steals. And to have him above a defensive center, or just Shaq in general, I can't co-sign that. To have him above Embiid is questionable in my opinion. I cannot co-sign this. This makes next to no sense. So I don't know about that, dog. D Wade is a bit low, yeah. So one of the highest shot blocking guards of all time. This is like really low, actually, right? How? What number was he? My laptop froze up. What number was he? Because like this is really low for D Wade, right? I know he's a perimeter oriented guard, and I said it again. Like he played in the dead ball era as well, but like Wade was like fast, and when he got the steals, I don't know about him being this low, and I do want to apologize to Jerry West. I don't want to make it seem like Jerry West is a bad defender. I don't know that he is, but I do think the steals is carrying him. And I've notably also not seen Allen Iverson, and if they're ranking the steals as high, plus also for Wade, the shot blocking is the thing too. He was a great shot blocking guard as well, which is a very rare combination. I don't know if I believe this. I don't think I do actually. Mookie Blaylock. Yeah, no, I've heard the name. That makes sense. Yeah, I've never known him to be an offensive player now, and he's stuck in the league for a very long time, so he's clearly a defender. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Defensive teams, 2 in the first, 4 in the second. That's more respectable, really. That's respectable. And 3, yeah, that's fine. And notably, he did not continue to play into the dead ball era. That was in like the twilight years of his career. And he also Nets. He would not have been on the New Jersey Nets in that, based on the way they're ordering these teams. I also don't remember that. So yeah, that's interesting. Charles Oakley. I know Charles Oakley for fighting, and I know he was. I know him for being a goon. I do not know him for being the world's greatest defender. It makes sense that he was good at. He was a very solid defender, and he was probably the more aggressive defender in those years with Charles Barkley. Not Barkley. Oakley. No, fuck. I'm saying his name. I'm thinking of Patrick Ewing and those Knicks teams. So yeah, no, that makes sense. Don't get it twisted, but like, I know him for fighting. I know him for being on those Bulls teams, some of those early Bulls teams, and being a no nonsense defender on those teams. But like, again, it's probably because he was gonna kick your ass. Serge Ibaka, yeah, respectable. I can co-sign this. Serge Ibaka being the solid, I can co-sign that. Notably Raptors team, notably OKC team, notably pretty much everywhere he went. Even in the twilight years of his career when he played for the Clippers, he was actually a very good defender there too as well. Orlando, he was a great defender. He had a lot of years wasted in Orlando, to be quite honest, when he could have been chasing or just being a part of a championship team. Yeah, no, I can co-sign this. I don't know about how high he is, but I can co-sign him being on this list and being around this spot. That's fine. He also just had a long tenure of being a great defender, but I would also argue that Brook Lopez does as well, and I would probably put Brook Lopez a little higher. Interesting. Horace Grant, yeah, that checks out. Pretty much same reasoning and launch. Rondo, a better defender than Wade is something I gotta hear. That's something no disrespect to Rondo, whatsoever, because Rondo's was a two-way player. He was a playmaker first, and a solid to great defender, right? For his position, I want to get that straight. For his position, he was a great defender as a point guard, and his defense notably opened up passing lanes as well. Don't want to get that twisted. Also, he apparently finished top 3 in terms of top 10 in defensive player of the year. I'm gonna say that wrong every single time. Top 10 in defensive player of the year 3 times. But I'm just gonna keep it 1,000 with you. I don't remember his year. I don't remember his defense being very impactful in Dallas. I don't remember it being very impactful in Sacramento. I do think it was good. It was very good in New Orleans and LA, but AD was anchoring the defense there. So I don't wanna say anything. Chicago, Jimmy Butler was on that court, bro. That was with Wade as well. Like, there was a good defense for a reason. Under who else was the coach there? The coach was Tom Thibodeau as well. So is Rondo a good defender? Yes. Is he better than a lot of the guys we listed? I don't know. Is he better than Derek White? Nah. As a defender? I don't know. I feel like Rondo has the legacy and longer tenure of doing probably good defense, but I don't know about the Manute Ball. We're talking about one of the few guys in NBA who has more blocks than he has points. He's just also an absurd defender. So like when we're talking about like an absurd amount of blocks, it's like Wimby, it's like Hakeem, and then it's Manute Bol for like absurd amount of blocks in eras where it was recorded, of course. Because if we were talking about an absurd amount of blocks in eras where it wasn't, it would be like Bill Russell, it would be like Will Chamberlain, stuff like that. But like, yeah, he was a good shot blocker. I don't want to get it twisted, but I don't think he should be this damn high. Kevin McHale, yeah, notably the better defender than Larry Bird, and also maybe the better player in a lot of those postseason runs. If you think about it and you look at it, I don't know. Also, I think it is weird that a lot of the guys that we've looked over don't have defensive player of the years. So that's something. Like, I think the only winner we've covered so far was Evan Mobley, which and immediately proven wrong. Called out. Jaren Jackson Jr. So he's won a defensive player of the year, like I was talking about. Like, it was like we haven't had a lot of winners here yet. His lack of rebounding kind of hurts him Not kind of. It does actually hurt him as a defender because even if he plays great defense, he does not secure that, which the rebound, which leads to second chance opportunities, which is a massive flaw and problem in his game. So there's that. He also notably does not have a very deep history of being a great defender. His block percentage is very high in comparison to a lot of the guys that we were talking about. But I don't think this is the craziest thing ever, dog. It's something to talk about, but yeah. Next, I don't think that he should be this high, man. I just top 60 defender Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson Jr. being a top 60 defender of all time. I know it's hard. I know it's really hard to play defense in here. I don't even think of Jaren Jackson as one of those ones from this era, dog. As far as defense, and he's one of the defensive player of the year. Don't get it twisted. Great defender. I don't. I can't co-sign this one. Not him being this fucking high. Like I can't. Shane Battier. Y'all know his bag. Memphis, Houston, Miami. Y'all know him. Yeah. Very tough defender. Don't want to get it twisted. He's guarded a lot of players. Talked about guarding Kobe in the multitude of like just trying to get him to take bad shots or worse shots than the best quality shots. And Kobe's a motherfucker. He took those shots on purpose, intentionally trying to prove a point. But yeah, that if you can force someone to take worse shots, and he was forcing fucking Kobe to take worse shots. I think I could speak to the greatness of Shane Battier. Not a defensive player of the year winner, but he's finished top 10 4 times in a very respectable defensive era as well. So there's that. I don't really know if he should be this high, but valid. Stockton. I told you them steals allow you to get away with this. Now, Stockton is the all-time steal leader. Don't want to get it twisted. So he's not a terrible defender by any means. But if we're talking about defenders from the 90s and you bring up John Stockton, be for real, dog. Moving on. Also, I don't feel like I need to talk anymore about the anti-vaxxer and how great it's Bill Walton. Okay, so you give me a player in Stockton who's only this high because of his total in steals, right? And then right afterwards, you give me a player who's here, like, don't get it twisted. He's a 2-time champion. 1 win with Boston, 1 win with Portland. And he was amazing when he was healthy. And if we're talking about players who are amazing when they were healthy, he's Bill Walton is very Embiid-like. So like, yeah, I'm just gonna move on. We're gonna move on. It's very confusing how they have these players put together arbitrarily. Dave DeBusschere. Not gonna talk about this, dog. Like, defensive player of the year didn't exist throughout most of his career. So, moving right along. Marcus Smart is a defensive player of the year winner. I'm gonna be honest. The year he won it should have gone to Robert Williams. The only reason it didn't go to Robert Williams is because of health concerns. Was he the anchor of this defense? No. Is Marcus Smart a great defender? Yes. He's one of the better guards defenders in the NBA history. Fact. He's also playing in one of the most difficult eras to guard a guard. True. Would he have been? He would have been better in like early eras of basketball. As far as a defender, yes. I can respect this. This is fine. Above Jaren Jackson and above Evan Mobley. I think by the way, those are the only two. There are only 3 winners that we've covered so far. So there's that, man. Again, a lot of great defenders repeat as defensive player of the years though. So there's that. Who the fuck is this guy? Norm Van Lier. I've never heard of this guy. I've never heard him be mentioned before. Notably played in the pre-Jordan Bulls. So yeah, I'm just gonna move on from this one. I do not think he deserves to be in these conversations at all. I don't even know who the fuck that is, man. Tayshaun Prince, respectable. Another member of the Detroit Pistons team I was talking about. Also a reason why Rasheed Wallace did not have any defensive player of the year like votes because this guy was on this team. Yeah. Maurice Cheeks. Played notably with the Sixers, with the Dr. J Sixers. He was a great defender on that team. Yeah, and he was also a pretty good facilitator for them as well. Yeah, no, I have no problems with this. This is disrespectful. Is the 80s the world's greatest defensive era? No. No, not at all. Was he a great defender on the team and for a guard? Yeah, absolutely. I can look at pass. Again, probably inflated for the steals, but again, he's finished. But he, unlike a lot of the other guys below him, he's actually finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year 5 times, 4 All-NBA defensive first teams and second teams. Again, would I put him above a lot of the bigs that we've talked about? No, not really. But he does have enough sample size where I'm like, okay, that's fair enough. And he also was part of some like key championship teams, so sure. Jerry Salone, oh my goodness. Former Baltimore Bullet. Let me just shout him out there, and we're gonna move on because again, Chicago, the Chicago Bulls, pre-Michael Jordan. No one gives a fuck. Do not want to speak on that any further. Shawn Marion. Shout out Shawn Marion, champion. Dallas Mavericks ring, tough as fuck. Absolutely. Great perimeter defender. Never made an All-NBA defensive team. Not once. He's finished top, which is weird though, because he's finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. A more modern era, notably a player that I'm aware of and I can respect. That being said, dog, above some Defensive Player of the Year award winners, man. Just gonna keep them out. Marc Gasol, yeah, okay. Do I think Marc Gasol should have won Defensive Player of the Year the year he won it? No. Is Marc a great defender? Absolutely. Is Marc a champion with the Toronto Raptors? And was he a very core piece in the trade deadline acquisition that also made them a champion? Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I just want to say that first and foremost. Yes, he is. Great defender. Notably, the year that he won Defensive Player of the Year, he was placed All-NBA second. I also want to point this out as well. He was not on a lot of these all-time defensive, only NBA defensive teams, despite the fact that the grit and grind Grizzlies were a great defensive team, and he did not place. Again, this is also notably in an era where there were not a lot of great defenders, where there were not a lot of great centers. So, just throwing that out there for what it's worth. Also, his brother Powell was probably going to finish above him, which I don't know about that. Jimmy Butler, yep. More notably in the earlier parts of his career, and especially in Chicago, he would be very, very good at defense. He never stopped being a decent defender, and literally up into Miami. And I don't want to talk about Golden State. Don't know what he's going to be like this year. He was a great defender in those teams. Don't want to get twisted. That being said, this high, it's interesting. Jimmy's a great defender. Don't get twisted. But this high. Small sample size, by the way. Patrick Ewing is on this list. Top 5. What's the name? Again, he's kind of underrated, but I feel like a lot of people say he's underrated, so he's kind of overrated. And people talk about him like he was like the best center. Sometimes they talk about him like he was kind of the best center in that era, and it's just like not fucking true, like in the slightest. And yeah. What does it say about Patrick Ewing though? Good defender. Anchor for the New York Knicks at that time. I think their offense was more impactful and productive than their defense. It was also why they kept losing, to be quite honest. But yeah, moving on. Dennis Johnson. Yeah, no, this is respectable. Yeah. Okay, so remember how I was talking about like certain guards, and I was like, yeah, they're gonna be in situations they're gonna be like, I don't know if a guard should be really this high above certain centers and stuff like that. Yeah, no, this is one of the rare exceptions. Finals MVP, won with the Boston Celtics, was very crucial for the Seattle's success in the 80s, and then transition into the Boston. The defense that he was playing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is one of those players where I'm like, yeah, the guards should be in like this high. That's fair. 6 All-NBA defense first teams, 3 second. Finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. Can you speak to that? Fine. Joe Dumars, another one of those guards. Yeah. This is very similar to him. Top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. Notable errors in Defensive Player of the Year as well. 4 All-NBA first team. Yeah, no, I can get it. I don't really know how he ekes out the above Dennis, but I would probably just say that leads to the be a part of the bad boy Pistons era in that Finals MVP. But Dennis also does have that, so I'm not sure. It's something though. Tyson Chandler, yeah, this is the fourth defensive player of the year one. Played great defense like his entire career. Chicago, New Orleans, Charlotte, Dallas, New York. And yeah, I think he won Defensive Player of the Year in Dallas. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's also why Sean Marion they were gonna win one. All NBA defensive team first, and then second team is twice. Great defender. He was a bit undersized, but he was a great defender. Kobe has like 9. And I know you're saying Kobe's down this low? Yeah, me too, dog. I don't. And notably, yes, he fell off post one of the toughest injuries in basketball as a defender. Not a surprise. Notably, also in 2012, when he was carrying that offensive load for this team and really getting them in right before the injury, yeah, he was not world's greatest defender. Notably. I am not about to look to you dead in your eyes and tell you a lie that Kobe deserves to be this low on this list because he didn't finish. He never won a Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not going to tell you that because that'd be asinine. The film speaks for itself. Next. Joakim Noah, another Defensive Player of the Year winner. Should he be above Kobe? No. 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 Chicago's defense, notable. He was there. Memphis defense. Ugh. Yeah, and then the New York action. So really, realistically speaking, pretty much just Chicago in the better years. Walt Frazier. I did not know Walt to be this great a defender. And I did also not know that a person who did 7 All-NBA first. Okay. I can see it. I can see that. My bad. Walt. People speak about his offense though, so I don't know. I don't know. AK, yeah, great defender. Next, above Kobe, this one might actually be debatable. This is competition. That's fair. Bam. He is a great defender. He's never won a Defensive Player of the Year. He probably never will. He has finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year 6 times. There's been a lot of times we were talking about him like, hey, run it instead of Rudy. He's a great defender. Don't want to get it twisted, but yeah, no, this is fine. 83 points, man. Got to get your name in the history book somehow, buddy. Didn't win the Defensive Player of the Year. 83 points. Weird, strange things, man. Who is this guy? Alfred Robinson. So this is where the Defensive Player of the Year recipients are more concentrated. I do not know anything about him, so we are not going to be talking about him. A lot of people have told me Defensive Player of the Year is not won by guards often. It looks like a 50-50 split so far. Not really, actually, but like there's been a lot of guards. Wemby is low. I know you're saying we don't got the sample size. If we don't got the sample size, the answer for you, respectfully, Chet should not have made the list. Period. Wemby actually might be one of the greatest defenders of all time right now. Unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. Would have won it the year prior if he actually finished and played in games. He has dwarfed the league in blocks. In the year where Miles Turner was in a Game 7 of the Finals, he was still miles away in blocks when Wemby had stopped playing basketball in February. Wemby also generates a lot of steals. Wemby actually affects the game so much so that you can't even go to the fucking basket while he is on the court. That is how good of a defender he is. I do not think Wemby should be this low. Do I think he should be above Kobe? Yeah. Do I think he should be above literally everyone that we've mentioned so far? Yeah. There's going to be people in front of him that I think he should be above them too. I'm going to be honest. It's like, respectfully, it's like 5 niggas, maybe 10 total, that you could realistically have it. And then again, you'd be doing the sample size thing. And I'm not going to lie to you, I've seen enough. His defense propelled his team to the finals this year. I've seen enough. You could have put him top 10 and I would have been like, fuck it. Drew Holiday is above him. Boy, we better be like, look, no disrespect to Drew Holiday, one of the greatest defenders ever, 2-time champion. A lot of that is his defense. Defense he was playing in New Orleans, like that. Defense he was playing in Milwaukee, like that. Defense he played in Boston, like that. Defense he's still playing right now in Portland is like that. Above Wemby? Oh, no. Defensive selections, he's got, what? 3 first, 3 second. What the? Okay, top 10 defensive player of the year awards, 5 times. Cool. Iggy, yep, cool. Iggy, obviously, in Philly, Denver, Golden State, obviously, I know you know that one. And then the year they made the finals in Miami in 2020, yeah, he was part of that team too. His defense is like that. No questions for Iggy. Above Wemby, no. Above Drew, I don't know about that. He did get Finals MVP though because his defense on Bron. So I guess that's why he's above the 2 guys that I just listed. But above Wemby, nah. Above Drew is debatable. Above Wemby, no. Marcus Camby, Defensive Player of the Year is 1. He has won 1 of them. He's notably that was probably New York, right? Yeah, that'd probably be New York. The Marcus Camby that I most notably know is New York and then Denver as well. But that's about it. He's a good defender. Above Wemby, probably not. Jason Kidd, 1-time champion, Defensive Player of the Year finishes. He's finished top 10 once. I've seen a lot of people talk about how great of a defender he is. The steals, yeah, he's a great defensive coach. So the defense, yeah, I do want to note this because I have to do this for a lot of other guys, and I've talked about it before. Dead ball era, but he was a part of those New Jersey Nets teams that went to the finals, and he was also their best player. And he was a 2-way player for those teams. So I do want to say something about that. That being said, do I think he should be above Wemby? No. I think Jason Kidd, who recently was fired actually by the Dallas Mavericks, would tell you to his face that he is not a better defender than Wemby at any stage in his career. So, yeah, and maybe the Drew Holiday, that's comparable. Iggy, that's comparable. Respectfully, that's fine. Havlicek, Johnny played when the Defensive Player of the Year did not exist. Notably a part of some of those Bill Russell's teams, but also had some of his team. Historic call. Havlicek stole the ball. Not a lot of people have those. Good for him. Nate Thurman. We're gonna have to breeze through because I've been spending a lot of time. Nate also played when Defensive Player of the Year didn't exist. 70s. 70 big. That's that brother who looks roided as fucking that one picture. That's him. Chris Paul. Okay, cool, great, notable. That makes sense. All NBA defense. He's led the league in steals a lot of the time, and he was also clamping up. Can't lie. Him this high, fair. Above Wemby, no. Again, volume in career. Above Kobe. Respectfully, no. Chris Paul is a little bit too small to be guarding a lot of people, so I don't know about that. This is Michael Cooper. I was thinking we used to AC Green by now. Yeah, I haven't seen AC Green. Is AC Green on this list? That's interesting. Yeah, Michael Cooper's from the Defensive Player of the Year. Cool. This is very respectable. Brought the defense for those teams because obviously Magic was not the world's greatest defender, and he for those Lakers teams, yeah, this is respectable. Got it. Sidney Moncrief, also another respectable defensive guard. 2-time defensive player of the year. Yeah, no, I can back this up. Good, cool, makes sense. Mark Eaton, defensive player of the year twice. Yeah, crazy block totals. When I was talking about blocks, I forgot to talk about Mark Eaton. Crazy, yeah, cool, great. Bobby Jones, what? No, next. Bruce Bowen, great defender on those Spurs teams. Very good defender. Popovich defense. Tim Duncan anchoring it. Does Bruce Bowen deserve to be this high? I don't know about all that. Tony Allen. Yep, one of them ones. Cool. Never won Defensive Player of the Year. True, absolutely. Tony Allen was one of them ones. Everyone who's ever played against Tony Allen will tell you to his face. Tony Allen was the most annoying nigga to be guarded by. point blank period. And also, we better be lucky that that time that he played with Memphis did not overlap with Shane Battier, because them niggas would have had you in a fucking strangle. LeBron James at 22. I think a very motivated LeBron James, and also LeBron James should have won a Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah. The fact that I have notably not seen Michael Jordan on the list so far is questionable. Does he deserve to be above Kobe? It's debatable. But we're in that tier. Does he deserve to be above Chris Paul? Yeah. I think they fucked up. Really, right here. Is he better than? Is he better than a lot of the defenders below him? Has he had a lot of the great defensive moments? Yes, but those were more earlier into his career and like the tail end of Miami. Once we get back to Cleveland, it's really downhill defensively from there. And yes, Bron has great defensive moments in those things, but like those are moments far and few between. And also considering he just was saving himself defensively, he was saving himself and reserving himself for really going hard in the playoffs. Yes, I don't know if you can really put him this far up. He can be this far up, but can he go any further? I'm not really sure. Meta piece, aka Orlando and Taz. Yeah, now you got it. That works. Works for me. Alonzo Mourning. Yep, that works for me. Checks out. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, that checks. Checks. Oh, by the way, no moments. Matt has also won it. Yeah, no, I think these guys are better defenders than LeBron, generally speaking. As far as all time, I don't know. AD, yep, this was one of the guys that I was looking for. Yeah, that makes sense. Wilt. They did not track steals. They could not track defensive blocks, and Defensive Player of the Year did not exist. Do I think Wilt is a great defender? Yes, duh. Would I put him this high? I just don't know how you can with no defensive metrics, especially considering he was not the best defender of his era. We're going to get to that guy who's coming out very shortly. Giannis being this high, yeah, that works. Very comparable to Wemby, though, so I want to point that out. Kareem, yeah, being up this high, very comparable to Giannis. Similar, cool. That works for me. Yeah. Michael Jordan, fuck no. Respectfully, despite the fact that he's won Defensive Player of the Year, despite the fact that he has 9 All-NBA defensive teams, despite the fact that he's finished top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year 10 times, Mike does not deserve to be above Giannis. He does not deserve to be above Jordan. Jordan does not deserve to be above Giannis. He does not deserve to be above Wemby. He does not deserve to be above Wilt. So I know I just said, I don't know how you would rank Wilt, but he does not deserve to be above those guys. Gonna be completely honest with you. No. And also, if he's this high, Scottie has to be above him. And I know Scottie is going to be above him, just obviously. But no. Respectfully, no. They have done a lot of PR to have him this fucking high. And it's top 15 defender of all time, Michael Jordan. Fuck no. Gary Payton, respectable, deserves to be up here. He was the most recent finisher as far as guards in Defensive Player of the Year until Marcus Smart won it. Obviously, Dwight Howard has won 3 Defensive Player of the Years back to back. By the way, yes, deserves to be this high. Moving on. Is he better than Wemby? Kawhi, remember when I said for Jordan and how I was like, yeah, Jordan's defense is kind of overrated. Kawhi's defense is overrated, but not currently. I don't think people talk about his defense right now. I think people still do that, but that is wrong. Very similar thing to LeBron. Except Kawhi's defense, and by the way, I just want to put this out. LeBron also played excellent defense in the postseason for the Lakers in 2020, so that cannot be discredited. That needs to be talked about. Kawhi being above Michael Jordan, I don't know. To say that Kawhi is one of the greatest defenders of all time in top 15, above Giannis, I can't co-sign that. And by the way, Giannis obviously won the Defensive Player of the Year. I can't co-sign that. I don't know. Really, we're talking about the sample size we're talking about is all of his years in San Antonio. And up until the Toronto, and then we want to say right before the knee injuries, really. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say that really. David the Admiral. Yeah. Defensive Player of the Year 9 times. Yeah. 4 first for a second. Yeah, bro, got it. Draymond Green, top 10 defender of all time. I would have him top 5. He's won 1 Defensive Player of the Year. Cool. He's been very, very, transcendent in this era of defense, and has also made switchability at like one of the forefronts of the most important things in defense. He has been guarding. Do people want to say he hasn't guarded real legitimate centers? Yes. The fact that you're even saying that he can guard some of the good centers in the league is actually insane. So I can't be discounted. Rudy Gobert, you can say whatever you want about his 4 defensive player of the years. Respectfully, be quiet. He is one of those ones. He did, like I said with Wemby, he deters shots from even being put up. If there were defenders you were gonna put above Wemby, Draymond Green, sure. Rudy Gobert, sure. David Robinson, I don't know as much about him as well, but I give him the nod. And then Kawhi is really where Kawhi is the cutoff. I'm not putting fucking Wemby below Kawhi, dog. Especially with the sample size of Kawhi's career that I've seen so far, where he's not a good defender. Or sorry, not a great defender. He's been a good defender, just not great. Who's about these guys? I feel like we've been talking forever. Scottie Pippen, yeah, despite the fact he's never won Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, no, that works. See, this is also another reason why I was like, yeah, Defensive Player of the Year is overrated. Dennis Rodman above Scottie Pippen. That is a take. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. No, that's a take. Damn, that is a take. Oh, right. I'm just gonna move on. Mutombo, yep. One of them ones. One of the 4-time recipients of this award. That means Ben Wallace is going to be. Yep, Ben Wallace is next. I was about to say, that means Ben Wallace is top 5 all time. I did not think they would give Ben Wallace his flowers like that. Yeah, Ben Wallace is why remember when I was like giving the dead ball era text? No, those Detroit Pistons teams with Ben Wallace on them were having niggas score 60 and 70 and 80 in an era where niggas were supposed to be finishing with like 90-something points. Yeah, them defenses was one of them ones. I don't think anyone needs me to tell me about Mutombo with the nothing. He's God rest his soul, by the way. Love Mutombo, great person off the court. That's more important than any of this basketball shit. But yeah, that's it. By the way, I'm speeding through this list right now. Hakeem not number 1. I mean, yeah, hold on. Bill Russell and then. Wait a minute, Hakeem not number 1. Who's Tim Duncan? Yeah, Tim Duncan. Yeah, Kevin Garnett, yeah. I'm not fucking with KG over Hakeem. I'm not fucking with that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, actually. I don't like KG above Hakeem, actually. I don't like that, actually. I'm not fucking with that. I'm not fucking with that at all, actually. Nah, actually. Nah, I don't like that at all. Nah. Respectfully, dude, we talk about some of the greatest defenders of all time. No credit where credit is due. Just no. Duncan is also another player that has never won Defensive Player of the Year. Don't let it get twisted. He is on an All-NBA defense team for like the majority of his career. This is a 15-year sample size of him being on the All-NBA defensive team. He was one of them ones from out the gate. It is a shame that he never won a Defensive Player of the Year, but his defense and the way they anchored the San Antonio Spurs, oh my goodness, man. Nothing but praise for this guy. Nothing but praise. But if there had to be a guy above him, it's Bill Russell. Notably, he did not play an era where steals were recorded, did not play an era where blocks were recorded, but if you can find footage of Bill Russell playing defense, by the way, do you know they were not jumping for blocks before Bill Russell? I know they weren't recorded, but not jumping to contest shots. The jump shot was well and truly on its way, and niggas were not jumping to contest shots, apparently. Pioneered that. The rebounding, and also the rebounding aspect of it is also another reason why he was a very good defender. I said about Jaren Jackson Jr. and why he's not. There's a reason why a notable awards are named after Bill Russell. I think Defensive Player of the Year should probably be named after him too, but hey, I don't know, man. Only reason he didn't win one is because the award didn't exist, and they were like, man, if Russell's retiring, we should probably take note of this. And mind you, some of the years that he was playing that excellent defense, he was also coaching his team as a player coach, the head player coach. Yeah. I'm not doing that shooters video today. It'll be done when it's done. This is a very, very long video. Longest I've ever recorded after the most viewed video. This is not going to do well. If you made it to the end, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Probably should have told you to do that in the middle of the video, but what's done is done. Goodbye.